Situated in Bolsover, a small town in the county of Derbyshire, sits Bolsover Castle. Allegedly the most haunted castle in England, its history is shrouded in opulence, wealth and bizarre yet magnificent art. In my opinion, it is one of England's strangest castles, but in a great way. Join us today as we explore the picturesque Bolsover Castle. Originally, a castle first stood on the site in the 12th century, following the Norman conquest of England. However, it is under the ownership of the Cavendish family that defines the greatest era in the castle's history. Charles Cavendish, a soldier by profession, acquired the castle in the late 16th century. He worked with the famous builder and designer Robert Smithson to create a castle for elegance and not for defence. Bolsover Castle needed to be a place to entertain kings, not to defend the land. However, Charles died before much of his grand plans could be carried out. William Cavendish inherited the castle at the age of 25. The building of the castle was continued by William by creating a magnificent palace fit for royalty, and it is here where we begin our tour. Remember, if you do enjoy these videos, please subscribe to the channel. Upon entering Bolsover, you are greeted by a huge outer bailey. Here you can see the back of the stable building. William Cavendish was a keen horseman and an expert in a form of dressage called manège. The first entrance you enter belongs to the Lodgings. These rooms would have been occupied by people when a dressage event was taking place. Also, at the end of this room you can see a viewing gallery in the stables. This would have been an extremely extravagant affair if you were invited to Bolsover to see one of these events. Leaving the stables area, you are greeted by the intimidating and huge terrace range. This extremely long block of rooms was built over many years in the 1600s for Cavendish. Walking under the Cavendish family crest, you are taken into the dining room. This room once would have had huge tables to celebrate Cavendish, the Duke of Newcastle. Furnishings and tapestries would have lined the walls in this room, serving as a welcoming and warm room for any dignitary or important visitor to the castle. There would have also been a number of fireplaces keeping the stone-laden room heated and warm whilst guests would converse and debate. This next room is the withdrawing chamber, a room to retire to after a huge feast, and a room that would probably have been used for entertainment. Esteemed guests of the owner could retire here to engage in more private conversation or to play games such as cards. The lodging room contained a state bed set on the east wall. There are traces of plaster which still survive in places that mark the lost ceiling. It was noticed that in the withdrawing room and the lodging room that huge portraits line the walls, showing Cavendish's rich family history. The long gallery that survives at Bolsover is one of the largest of its time still standing. This huge room was used for exercise and for entertainment. If being used for entertainment, it would have been on a grand scale, with musicians playing music long into the night for possibly over 100 people. This room would have been decorated ornately again, showing off the rich and wealth of the castle's custodian. The exterior of this building is rather grand too, stretching all the way to the castle's keep. You can also imagine the view that those guests would have had in the 1600s, walking out onto the balcony to get a break from the entertainment, overlooking the picturesque Derbyshire countryside. The final area of this part of the castle is the vast kitchen network that survives near to the long gallery. If there was an event on at the castle, these rooms would be hustling and bustling with activity. Pots and pans flying everywhere, huge amounts of bread being baked, all to the satisfaction of the castle's guests. Beer would also be brewed here, and wine stored to ensure guests have a rather merry time. The banquet and dinner would be the highlight of any guest stay at Bolsover Castle. Moving around to the castle's keep, it is known here as a little castle. Turning our back on the incredible view, we walk into the porchway. Guests would be received in this area of the castle. Cavendish was a pioneer with his building design, and he wanted to incorporate the old style of castle design in his entranceway. You can see false arrow loops like you would see on a 12th century castle. However, when entering the castle, you are turning your back on the old style of architecture and embracing a new, more daring style of design. A key feature at the front of the castle's entrance is the symbolism of Hercules, which carries on throughout the keep. The anteroom is a mystery for historians. It is strange to have a heated and richly decorated room right next to the entranceway. It would have been used for welcoming visitors. Adorning the walls are a series of paintings, which are the allegories of three of the four classical temperaments: melancholic, choleric, passionate, and phlegmatic. This hall was used as a dining space for the household and also as a reception space for guests. You can see a number of ribbed vaults in the ceiling that communicate a sense of grandness. Also along the walls are a series of paintings of Hercules. Guests would enjoy their meal whilst gazing at the images of Hercules defeating mythical beasts such as the Nemean lion and the Cretan bull. The chimneypiece is dated to 1616 and even shows Hercules with Vulcan, the god of fire. The Pillar Parlour was also used as a dining room for extremely special occasions. Decorated with elaborate panelling and paintings depicting the five senses, guests would be amazed by the new and bold design of this room. At Bolsover, there is also a wall walk. This gives some spectacular views of the surrounding countryside and also of the gardens in the keep. Cavendish is said to have only really placed windows on the side of the castle facing the countryside. This was designed to amaze guests with the superb view. Upon re-entering the castle, you are then taken to the most magnificent room in the whole building, the Star Chamber. This was the great chamber of the little castle. A formal reception and dining space, its name comes from the gilded stars painted on the sky blue background of the ceiling. The room is decorated with figures from the Old and New Testament and of saints showing the importance of religion. King David and King Solomon are shown in huge murals on the walls. Also, the tapestries on the walls would have depicted key scenes from the Bible, showing the wealth and spirituality of Cavendish. The marble closet that leads off this room acts as a withdrawing chamber. It gets its name from the marble floor and would have had garish tapestries covering the wooden panelling. This next room would have been William's bedchamber. In 1670, in an inventory, it was said to have 3 tapestries hanging from the walls. The Heaven Closet is one of the most interesting parts of the castle. Used as a closet, it would have been used to house precious artifacts. It takes its name from the ceiling that depicts Jesus ascending to heaven. You can also see cherubs playing music to celebrate Christ's reception in heaven. The Elysium Closet was used for intimate social gatherings. It was a place for Cavendish to discuss his love for philosophy, and this room was only seen by a select few, making it extremely exclusive. On the top floor of the little castle is a spectacular lantern. This room absorbs lots of light and would have been lit with fireplaces, making it look visually incredible. Also off this incredible room are a number of different bedrooms. These would have been frequented by William Cavendish's mother and other family members. The penultimate part of the tour of Bolsover Castle takes us into the basement and to the kitchens of the little castle. These kitchens would have been spectacular, much like the ones in the terrace range. You can see where the food for the esteemed guests would have been prepared, and it's even been discovered that they had fine pastries in these banquets. There would have been vast barrels of beer stacked up for the guests, fine cheeses, and also lots of sweat and toil in this part of the castle. Working in the kitchens was an extremely difficult and testing job, especially when guests were in residence. Finally, we are taken outside the keep to the gardens. These ornate gardens would have been used to impress guests and for guests to play games and be entertained. Off of these gardens are a number of different rooms used for different purposes, such as a stills room for mixing medicines and spirits. In my opinion, Bolsover Castle is one of the strangest castles in England. To create a castle purely to impress and not to defend seems bizarre to me. However, its part ruinous state is mixed with the incredible and amazing artwork that's on display in the little castle. If you do enjoy history, please go and visit sometime. Thank you for watching The Untold Past. To support the channel, please subscribe. Thanks again for watching.